I'd like to call this meeting to order. This time I would like to ask Mr. Aswell if he'd please lead us in our prayer and our pledge.
Yes, ma'am. Please join me in prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for all that you've given us and all the joy that you provide for us. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Lord, we also ask that you be with the family and the friends who have lost Dennis Weber, a true servant to you, Lord, and a true friend to Levy County. We may never honestly recover from the loss of such a good, great man. We thank you for letting him be in our life. And we thank you for all that he did for the people of Levy County, and especially the children that he so valiantly was an advocate for. Lord, we ask that you give us guidance and strength that we may better serve you in all our doings and all our works. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Aswell. Item B on our consent agenda. I respectfully would like to ask that on our addition to that we do, because of policy of reviewing our agenda and things not added at the very last minute, I just, and is that correct, Mr. Delaney?
Sure. So I think polling item 12, for the board has more time to review it and to be added to the future
Right, and
agenda.
right, and that's just only so that we can have time to review our agenda and go over everything. I'm respectfully asking to pull that item. Do I hear a motion?
Which item?
In our consent, our addition to consent agenda?
1A, 12.
Oh, okay. Okay.
With pulling that item, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
Move approval of agenda as corrected.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes to adopt our agenda. Item C, our welcome and public comment. Do I have anyone that would like to address the board? Did we receive any public comments? Sent in email? Okay. Thank you very much. We will go to item D, our impact award of transportation. Mr. Masters.
I appreciate the opportunity to present this award. My driver is running just a minute late, as the Williston routes are double routes and a little longer. She'll be here just shortly.
Madam Chair, should
Yes,
we move it down, skip, maybe flip-flop and go on to E, and we'll wait on her?
We'll be happy to do that if that works for you.
That would be a blessing.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that recommendation. Item E, our 401.
Good morning. Okay. As you know, we have a 401k plan, and we have had a third-party administrator that handles distributions, withdrawals, and things like that. And the group that handles our 401k plan, Chris Dodd and Franklin Lentz, are here because we need to make a change with our third-party administrator. So I am going to let them come up and handle that.
Hi, my name is Chris Dodds, Franklin Lentz, along with Justin Hardy. We handle the 401k, which is one of the retirement plans offered by Levy County School Board. We've been using the same third-party administrator for this plan, which, what Kaylee said, really just creates the plan document, any amendments that are required as time goes by. But really on a day-to-day basis, they just handle the distributions, any withdrawals from the plan. So about a month ago, they informed us that they would no longer be acting as the TPA for this plan. They just said they did not feel like they wanted to work with governmental entities anymore. It's kind of a niche in the 401k world. So we contacted one of our other TPA firms that we work with on a lot of the other 401k plans. They're based out of Jacksonville. Their name is EGPS. They've agreed to step in as of the first of the year to take over the role and responsibility of being a third-party administrator for the 401k plan. They've agreed to continue to do it at no direct cost to Levy County. All the costs that they are the compensation they are paid is provided to them directly from John Hancock, which is who the 401k is with, and that's the way it's been set up with the previous TPA as well. So we've obviously spoke to both firms. They're transitioning this very nicely and cooperatively. So we weren't planning on making that change, but we were basically forced into making the change. But it's not a problem from my point of view. We work with this new firm, EGPS, on actually more plans than the other firms. We have a great working relationship with them. So we really don't see this as being a big deal at all. We're just going to kind of transition into working with this new TPA on the 401k side. So if you guys have any questions on that, and there's also a second item I was going to mention on the 401k as well. Yes, sir.
So are you saying EGPS?
EGPS,
Okay.
which stands for something. I forget right now, but yes. That's what it stands for. Thank you. EGPS, yes, sir. And they're based out of Jacksonville. The previous firm was a local firm too. They were acquired by a national entity, which we understand is why they decided to make the change and not work with the governmental 401k plans.
Who was that we were using?
They're called BDO. And they were also based out of Jacksonville.
Because we don't ever see anything with any of those names on it. Everything's either John.
I'll tell you,
Hancock or-
a third-party administrator is very involved on a 401k that's not a governmental entity because there's a lot more filing requirements they're required to do, plan testing to make sure the plan is abiding by all the rules. On a governmental plan, all those requirements are pretty much eliminated. So really the only role that a TPA has in this situation is making sure the plan is kept up with any new amendments that are required, but more importantly, just handling any distributions or withdrawals from retired Levy County School Board employees, et cetera. So it's pretty limited scope of action that they're really doing with this plan.
We have 3 trustees on our plan, so it's myself and Kim Lake and then the superintendent. So usually I'm the one that handles the distribution requests back and forth, signs off on them. And the TPA makes sure that we're not doing anything. We're doing what we need to within IRS regulations on the distribution. So
I move
keeps us out of hot
approval
water.
of recommendation to EGPS as our third-party administrator for 401k.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? So you have a good experience and history with them?
Yeah, we worked with them for probably, 10
At least
10 years.
most of our plans are with that.
Yeah, we actually have more plans with this firm than any of the other
Okay.
plans we work with. So we do have a great working relationship with them.
Thank you.
So yeah.
And if we ever have problems, like in the past, we'd had a problem with the TPA, and I got with Chris and Franklin, and we made a switch several years ago, so.
Good, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will go back to our impact award. Mr. Masters.
So, by the time the sun comes up good in the morning, we've rolled those yellow dog buses about 1,750 miles. And a lot of things happen during that time. Looking back on sitting there listening to the radio, some things are funny, but some things are just not funny. Our drivers stand ready to do whatever it takes, just like the classroom teachers, just like every other worker at the school, are ready to do whatever it takes to keep the kids safe, to see that they get the best education possible for the school. And I watch a lot of hours of film. And so there's a film from Thursday a week ago where bus 411 is running through the west side of Williston. The kids are getting on and off. The driver's greeting every student as she does every morning, making them feel welcome and secure for the day. And someone from the back yelled that a student was choking. And so Ms. Rivenberg took quick action, secured the bus, and saved that child's life. So, would you come up? She's nervous about being here and doesn't think she should be recognized for doing her job. On that particular day, like every other day, it was an exceptional job.
Amen. Hey, that's true. Thank you very, very much, and thank you for.
So we would like to present her with this Impact Award and our appreciation.
Thank you, thank you.
You know, all I gotta say is what I did that day is nothing any of our other drivers wouldn't do. We've all had excellent training. We're like a family out there. We all see each other. We're all ready to help each other. And, you know, God was with me that day. And he was with this boy. And thank God he was. But, you know, it's just human nature and good training and being a parent, you know. These kids, I love my kids, each and every one of them. You know, they say that these kids, how can you do it? When people say, oh, you got bad kids, I say, I've got 60 different personalities on my bus screaming to get out. And they're good kids. And whatever I can do to keep them safe, I intend to do that. But I also want everybody to know that there is not a driver in Meade County that wouldn't have done the same thing. You know, that's the point. They would all do the same thing. And I think they would do it as quickly, if not quicker. So, but thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
With your permission, she would like to fuel her bus.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you very much.
Item F, Ms. Lake.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think you all have had time to review or have seen the proposed change for Board Policy 4.39. We're asking permission to advertise. The title of this particular policy was a little too broad, extracurricular travel, so we wanted to narrow it to reflect the content of the policy, which is non-school related travel. We also updated it with NEFEC suggested language since our last update was in 2002. And the gaps in language left us open for liability. So again, I'm asking for permission to advertise.
So how does this change? How is this different from the safe patrols? I mean, how it would impact them or different?
We do not classify a safety patrol trip as a non-school related trip.
Okay. What trips do you classify as non-school related?
Any trip that's not sponsored by or directly associated with the school. Safety patrols, it's a school trip, so this policy would have no effect on that whatsoever. But we have had good opportunities for some of our students to travel overseas in this case, or to take some really interesting trips. But they are not directly sponsored by the school. The school doesn't have control over that. And we don't want to take those opportunities away from students, but we also want to make sure that there are some certain things that are school trips and certain things that are not school sponsored. So the public or parents don't have any confusion.
Yeah, I just don't want to take travel, I want kids to have that opportunity, and sometimes that's the only way that, they can do it, but I just don't want it to take away from students having an opportunity to travel.
The opportunity should be there, but I think it's more fair to everybody participating that they're clear what is school related and what is sponsored by an outside party.
Some of these trips, the teachers get free trips. So that's not a school-related trip. They would be an advisor on their own, getting a benefit of encouraging participation, and you have to have separation of that in your classroom. And also the original policy, as it was stated, would not have allowed for non-school related travel. So this is just firming it up so there is no question by the teacher or principal or board or administration on what is non-school related and school related.
Just all FFA.
They're school related.
Okay.
That's the why we wanted to change the extracurricular, because that starts making you think of FFA and
Yes.
football and baseball,
Right.
and this is non-school related. For example, if we were talking about the travel club, Williston has one, Chiefland has one, I think Bronson and Cedar Key have. Williston is very clear in posting posters that says this is not school related. As a matter of fact, the company will give you things to post on the wall so parents are clear. So we just want to continue to see that kind of behavior adopted in all the schools.
It's just like people come by the office all the time. My child has been offered this chance to go play volleyball in Australia. And they're raising money for that. That's not a school, but they play volleyball for school, but this is different.
Correct. You do bring up a good point. We can't run these funds through our internal account.
Move approval to advertise.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes to advertise. Thank you very much. Okay, school board policies, Mr. Locke.
Good morning.
Good morning.
These four policies were brought to you previously for permission to advertise. The TBD, I just spoke with our counselor. He has had a chance to fully review those. He had no changes, and we had no changes to the other policies either. I promise you, we will have a number. Now that I know he's okay with it, we will have a number the next time we meet. I think we'll have advertised the required amount of time by our next meeting, which will be
November 17th.
17th. Yeah, been November 17th.
So we're not going to have a meeting to vote or anything on the 5th. I'm going to have our special meeting, but we're not doing anything to vote or
No,
anything
this
on that?
this would not have enough advertising. I'm sorry. It'd be the 17th. We would have enough time. I know that particular meeting may be devoted to some swearing in of the new superintendent and school board members. So we may want to actually move it until the first meeting in December, if it's your wishes, to actually approve those four board policies. Kind of up to you guys.
And a 4.39.
Mhm. Yes, that way we can do it all at one time. If we move it to final approval on 12/8.
that's fine with me.
Okay.
Put them all together.
Now, getting back to these four, you guys have had some chance to review. Do you have any questions or anything about the four that are before you today?
Any questions?
I don't remember having any.
If not, we will still have some time. We'll have a couple
Yeah.
more readings, so we still have time to do it before the 8th of December.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and thank you for letting us know about that change. Okay, item H, our schoolwide improvement plans.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all for taking the time to review the schoolwide improvement plans. These plans have also been reviewed by each school's SAC committee, as well as all of our district instructional team. Are there any questions?
I've reviewed mainly all Chiefland. If anybody has anything about their school, do you have any questions?
I've reviewed Wilson and it looks like it's perfectly on
There's
track.
pretty much no changes from last year's template to this year. So the only thing that you'll see that will change is their areas of focus, which are their goals. But the template pretty much remains the same.
Who makes the decision on who compromises up the teams that go through and do the school improvement plan?
The leadership teams,
Mhm.
you're talking about the schools itself.
So it's principal driven?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they ultimately, whoever's on each of these is responsible for
Yeah.
selecting the people that they want on
Yes,
their school improvement.
yes. And under each area of focus, they put a person responsible,
Gotcha.
which is also pretty nice.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
I move approval of the school improvement plans as presented.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any other discussions? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes to approve the school plans. Thank you for coming. Okay, item I, are there any changes?
No changes.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve October 13th minutes?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes passed. Thank you. Consent agenda. I'll start with Mr. Keller.
And I know it's not a Cedar Key, so I apologize for asking a question about some that's a little bit outside, but tell me about this contract, the mental health services. Can Dr. Hall, are you there?
These three are hers. Well, the very first one is CARES money.
Okay,
I don't know what questions, but I can maybe see if there's funding. The second one, what funding that is, that's another federal funding. And the third one is to provide social work services because we've had a vacancy. And we just can't fill it, so. So that's the funding.
okay. So these are services outside of what Meridian brings to the table, is what?
That is my, yes, that's my understanding.
They're therapists that are gonna go to every school but Williston, right? Because Williston hasn't,
Dr.
Dr.
Pratt.
Pratt, so is that, just reading through, that's what I thought. I know,
I can't answer.
I know.
I see Chiefland L, Bronson L, Bronson Middle High.
Right,
And that was kind of where I was,
Those must
Yeah.
have been high need areas. I do know, Chiefland L is in particular has, a valid need, so maybe that's what this is, and allowing staff we have to be broken up or ready to be broken up among the schools that don't have as high of a need.
yeah, I thought that was great because we have guidance counselors in place. And in addition to that, now we'll have therapists.
Okay.
Correct? That's how I read it. Is that how you guys?
that's,
I questioned that too.
all right. And then, obviously, it always, and I say this every time, and I realize it's the way that we have to write it, but I sure hate seeing that resignation, and then I have to keep reading to see participate and drop, because it makes my heart sink whenever I see good people who've been with our district for a long time, but just appreciate all their efforts. So, other than that, all my other questions have been answered, so, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Aswell.
I don't have anything on mine to answer.
I just had one question. I think it's great that Chiefland's doing the ACT prep and boot camp. I'd like to see are all schools doing that? Do you guys know Bronson, Cedar Key, Williston? I just think that's a great idea. Kudos to Chiefland. We test these kids starting in 3rd grade and have preps, and then for the big show, I think all middle high should have that, our high school should have that.
And you know, Katie heads that up over to.
I saw that.
She's
That's
amazing.
a great teacher.
Every year she does that.
She came from
And
Boston.
she's a graduation coach and she just does it amazing. I just have to give her a shout out.
I noticed her name. I've heard, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we could work on that for the middle high.
So is it on?
She's gonna transfer her back.
I'm pretty sure the school's
Okay.
determining how to spend that money. So
Gotcha.
Chiefland, Middle
Gotcha.
High looks to have made this a priority, where maybe other schools are using their funding a little differently.
They are, and she
Where's the
said,
speaker? Where's the speaker?
maybe actually met with the other graduation.
Hello, Dr. Hall.
coaches, kind of did that side of the schools.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get right back to your
So
response in 1 second.
they're aware of it, it's just
Thank
getting
you.
it up and running.
Gotcha.
I have to have talked to Katie about this because I think it should be countywide. And just like Kim was saying, that school devotes a chunk of Title I money for that purpose. And I think it's great. Number one, I think it's great that they know that they have Bronson Eagle there running that show. Done right. And that's how you make Chiefland better. You send Bronson people in.
Well,
Anyway, they do that, and I think kudos also goes to the school for doing that.
They have proven results. You look at the tests that the kids take for dual enrollment entry, they have little Algebra 1 boot camps, and it makes a big difference. So maybe.
It's quite literally putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
And then when you look at like last year, when we saw kids getting scholarships, kids getting grants,
Right.
that's all a product of,
Right.
like I say, put your money where your mouth is. And that's kudos to that school and Katie, that Bronson Eagle that's being held prisoner of war.
yes, and so I'm glad you brought that up, and she's done that every year, and we take it for granted because she has, I guess, and not acknowledged, but I'm glad you did notice that, and she does an outstanding job, and Chiefland is extremely happy to have her, and they definitely want to keep her. But she does a really good job, thank you. If you don't mind, I'd like to go back to Chris's question, and Dr. Hall is on the line, and she'll be happy to answer that.
Good morning. I'm sorry, I've been in attendance from the beginning of the board meeting, but my microphone is not working. So I asked Ms. Donna if she would allow me and ask Madam Chair for me to respond to Mr. Coward's question.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding the contract. The contract that's before you, and there's 3, is with Kim Carpenter-Herring. And I've reached out to her because currently, so that it's clear, Meridian is providing face-to-face mental health services at Yankeetown School as well as Cedar Key. They're having great difficulty finding clinicians who are willing to provide face-to-face services to Bronson and Chiefland. As I shared previously, Dr. Pratt is our psychologist, and she's providing services to the Williston community, so we're fine there. So Bronson community and Chiefland community have not received services. However, Meridian did offer and continues to offer telehealth. We know that at our elementary schools that telehealth may not be the best service delivery model for our young children. And so we're really continue to work with Meridian. They continue to interview prospective candidates. They all want to provide telehealth. So I reached out to another company, and that's what you have before you. We have face-to-face services being provided at Chiefland L for 3 days a week. You know, when we contract services, it's almost double the cost as it would be if we hire them as a school board employee. Right. And we have money to spend through the CARES Act. So 2 of the 3, the mental health clinician for Chiefland L, who is working as we speak, as well as seeking employment and services for the Bronson schools, Bronson L, Bronson Middle High, under the same company. And you are aware that we've been without a social worker, a continuous social worker, for several years. We've always had 2 in Levy County. I've been here, and prior to my arrival in 2004. Again, contracted services is quite expensive. So we have contracted with this company, and we're hoping to have a school social worker, not full-time because we don't have the funds to do that, and those funds come from general funds. So we're looking at hiring someone, working with the company, for at least 3 days a week, who would serve Bronson, Chiefland, and Cedar Key. Are there any questions for me regarding these contracts? And so let me share this as well. The contracts have been reviewed by our school board attorney, as always, and have been approved.
So that social work is 3 days a week, Bronson?
Yes, that's what we can
Chiefland, and
afford at
Cedar.
this moment in
Gotcha.
time, Mr. Coward.
Okay.
I would just share with you to hire this person for 5 days a week, which is what the original thought would be, will cost us about $77,000 for the remainder of this school year. That's a lot more than what we pay our social worker at this time.
Gotcha. Thank you for clearing up those questions, Dr. Hall. So that's what I needed to know. I appreciate it very, very much.
Very welcome, sir. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak via the conference phone because my online system is not working properly at this time.
Thank you for calling, Dr. Hall.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Clements, did you have any more questions? Okay. Mr. Etheridge?
That answered my questions.
Okay. Thank you. And that certainly answered my questions about the contract. So very grateful that she did call in. That cleared that up. Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to approve our consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes to, for our consent agenda. Superintendent's not here today, so we will, are there any other, Mr. Lott, any comments?
No.
And I'll start with board comments. Mr. Etheridge.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot this morning. I appreciate the impact award today. I guess this year more than ever with COVID, I've noticed and watched the buses are moving around Williston and the many stops they have, the responsibility that they have is unbelievable. And I appreciate the work and compassion that they, and especially bringing it before us so that we can see what they do. But it's been a fairly long week in a short amount of time. I think we broke new records this week with the issues that we're dealing with in today's world, and I appreciate our staff and administrators for fighting their way through. On a positive note, we're going to have the awards, not a banquet, but FFA awards tonight off campus to honor the 19 FFA awards in Williston tonight. So anybody would like to come by and be at the Cowboy Church outside of Williston.
That's very, very
In an
nice.
open, healthy atmosphere.
Good.
That's it.
Thank you. We'll come back to Ms. Clancy. Mr. Rascal.
It's homecoming week in Bronson, and y'all all feel better if you wear orange and blue constantly.
Are you having a parade?
We're having a parade Thursday. Now, I will not be riding in the parade because there are 3 Aspels already riding in the parade in various capacities, and 2 of which are seniors, and this is probably their last parade. So I said, I will be watching as the proud father should. But you're all invited to that. Another thing we're doing is after the homecoming parade at the corner, there will be a good old-fashioned fish fry. Want a good mullet dinner that will go to support a good cause. It's going to the Bronson baseball team. So post-parade, pre-flight night, there will be a fish fry. Also talking about fish, the FFA fish tournament was this past weekend, and they had a great turnout. I believe one of Miss Lake's relatives won some money in there. So it was a good time there. Tonight, there's an FFA watch party for the National FFA Convention. We have a young man, Ethan Church, receiving his American FFA degree. Kind of want to watch that. It'll be at the cafeteria. I'll be practicing social distance and all that. There'll be a little reception going on there. Invite everybody to come out. We referenced Katie here a minute ago, and Chiefland has their night where they do senior preparedness, for lack of a better term. Bronson had that this past week, kind of following her diagram, her outline, and it was very successful. And a lot of kids got a lot of good information, so it's good to see us moving in that direction. And just like Ms. Clemency said, I think that what they do, and gosh, it hurts to say it, but what they do in Chiefland is a great example. We sit around talking about, we have a mission statement, a college and career ready. Sometimes we're dropping the ball. Some of these kids are not ready. Some of these kids are, and more importantly, some of these parents are not prepared for all the forms you have to fill out, all the things you have to go through. And these kind of nights are an important part of that. So I believe we should encourage every school we have to really emphasize that, because to me, school is not just getting you to high school graduation. It's not just that end of May moment. It's that after May. After that May, that you're 13 years in school, after. We're preparing you for all of the rest of your life. 13 years, those 13 years are crucial for the next 65. And those little things will make a world of difference. And to me, it's important. Anyway, on something completely else. We pulled item 12. Do we need to go back and address that now?
Yes.
Before we end the meeting?
Yes. I would like to recommend, my comments were that be put on the November 5th agenda.
Okay.
And we do have a special board meeting, coming up on that. So
Okay.
it can be put on that one.
Okay. No problem. No problem. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll piggyback off the comments. So, Mr. Masters, thank you very much for bringing Ms. Tanya. And, I know each and every day our parents entrust their greatest gift. They put them on a school bus. They send them through the lunch line. They send them to get educated, play sports, all FFA, all kinds of different things. And then at the end of the day, they want them to come home safely. And the thing that stuck out to me is she mentioned it, referenced it twice, was her training kicked in. And I think how valuable that is. Not only, a lot of times we can get to thinking that our job may be tedious, and whether it's somebody that's on campus that's maybe doing maintenance and may see something like this, or a bus driver who has those kids every day, how important that training is, and making sure that we stay focused. And I know that we've gotten several texts, those of us that when they do a drill, it's come lately where we're doing our drills with the rave and it comes through, and then you also get an email to say this is a drill, we've done whatever it may be, whether it's a fire drill, an active shooter drill, which, heaven forbid, who would have ever thought 8 years ago that we would have really been sitting here and drilling things like that. Then when we talk about socially distancing, my conversation last night when Kaylee, when she called and talking about, what can we do more to help make sure, which I know all of our administrators are going back and kind of reworking and thinking, okay, as we've had a parent that's come and, their kid's gone through the second round of having quarantine and, these things of making sure it comes down to something as simple as making sure when our janitors come through and they may move a desk to vacuum, to making sure those desks get back to put back, so that way we have those extra 4 inches so we don't have as many kids going back out. So how important, and we may think it's something so small and so trivial, but how important it is in this time of being precise and making sure. So thank you to that, and it just goes back to continuing to train and be very vigilant in how important our jobs are. So everybody. November 7th, the Cedar Key Hospitality class is having their fishing tournament coming up. So if you'd like to fish, if you're a fisherman, come on out. So, and then keep remembering that the Schools Foundation has our great giving reverse drawing coming up. I believe it's November 7th, Thursday, November 7th. They'll be drawing those, and there's only 300 tickets, 5 winners on that. And then the last thing, I know Chiefland Middle High School does the ACT, and I don't know, Chloe, I'm putting you on the spot here, but whether that's through title dollars or what's the process, I'd love for us to see maybe Williston offer the SAT or Bronson or someplace like that. That way we have all the bases covered, where we have ACT on one side, convenient, and then SAT on the other, and see if there's a way that we can, and I know that we give it to our kids as a practice, but being a testing center where it's convenient for our kids, where they don't have to drive to a Westport High School or UF or something like that. So, and
And you are correct, it is title dollars. So it's, I think it just comes down to personnel that you put in place. Katie did come a couple of years ago to show the other graduation coaches kind of her model of work. So it's just kind of up to the other schools to take it and roll with it.
And I realize that there's been a lot thrown on, so I'd like to just put it on our radar to work towards that goal. So I know we've had so many other things, so, but I think it would be a worthwhile thing for our students, so. And other than that, so I just appreciate everybody, all your hard work. And one more thing, and not to steal some thunder from Mr. Asbell. So, Mr. Masters, thank you for going back. The young man that I think had won a gold medal, so in weightlifting, and somehow in what had happened in transition, we had slipped by and he hadn't received his gold medal for being a state champion. So of seeing something like that go through and rectifying. So appreciate your efforts on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and I appreciate Mr. Masters bringing, recognizing that award and as well too, and for coming today. That was very, very nice, and all the great things that all the schools are doing. I do want to make sure certainly that we put that item on our November 5th agenda. It's very important. It's certainly not about the item, it's just a process. And then also, I would like to propose to the board members that I would like to bring up for us to review, and with our policies and with our procedures, that I would like to recommend with our new Chiefland Middle High School that's being built, and will be in the process in several years. But I would like to honor and have our gym, our Chiefland High School gym, named after Mr. Dennis Weber, and in honor of him. And I know there's policies that we have to go through with, the family and the time, but I would like to bring that up for us to vote on. And however, Mr. Delaney, we need to go through with the correct procedures for that. But I would like that to be put on our agenda and to be brought up and to start that process.
Policy 11.7.
Thank you. I didn't know that. But he was a fine person, a real big shock and loss to our entire community, county. That's all the comments that I have. Did you know if Ashley's coming back, or? I don't know.
I think she may be gone.
Okay.
I know she had somewhere she had to go.
Okay. If there are no other comments or questions, then we'll adjourn the meeting, and then we have a school board visit with Bronson Middle High School and Elementary.
I think we're going to the elementary school and the high school.
Okay. We have an executive, we do? Okay. All right. Okay, so we will adjourn our meeting and have executive session.